all the participants. We have with us the next lecture speaker, Professor Rohan Mukherjee, who is Assistant Professor at Goa Institute of Management and who is also willing to join us as the adjunct faculty for this institute, and he is contributing a lot in the data science department. So I hope like he has already started the session on AI and implementing all these algorithms on the Python software, so you are enjoying your lecture. So yeah, with not much delay, I want to hand over the next thing to Dr. Rohan.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Kaushik, for giving me the opportunity now to talk. I will like to share my PPT. Please allow me to share the screen, host. The host should allow me to share the screen. Yeah, who is the host for today? Kaushik.
Kaushik. Kaushik, you are not.
Sorry, Dr. Rohan, you are the host right now, so you can easily share your screen.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So, in the last two lectures, what we did, we basically introduced the topic of artificial intelligence, right? We discussed a few of the applications. We discussed the basic idea of a prediction model. Okay, I'm just repeating once more so that a lot of people today in this class are new. Okay, so let me make them understanding of what we did in the last two classes. Then we directly, after defining a prediction model for a machine learning system, we went for the Python hands-on session where we took a real-time data set of IPL players along with their scores, their runs, their wickets and other variables. And we tried to establish relation between various variables in the data file given to us. Then we did some kind of application feature engineering in Python. Today, as suggested by the data science Professor Rai of this institute, the director of the institute, we will talk mostly on the basic idea of regression, why it is done, how it is applied, what are the basic understanding of regression, because people are new. So I think we can start with the idea of regression, okay? Because as discussed in machine learning, we basically deal with two kinds of problems. One, the regression problem or the prediction problem. Second is the classification problem. Okay. So before going into regression, let us define correlation of data. Okay. Correlation tells us whether there is a relationship between X and Y. What is the strength of the relationship? Correlation will answer two fundamental questions. What is the relationship between two variables X and Y? And what is the relationship between the strength of the relationship between the variable? Okay. So correlation we defined as a statistical technique used to define the degree of correlation, a degree to which two variables are correlated. Okay. So formally, if we go, the correlation between two random variables X and Y is a measure of the degree of association between two random variables or two variables. So we have two random variables X and Y, and we need to measure the degree of association between X and Y. That is the idea of correlation. Okay. Example of correlation. Whether the stocks of two airlines rises or fall in a related manner. Whether the stocks of two airlines are rising or fall in a related manner, we can check the correlation and say that. What is the degree of relatedness of two stock prices over time? In the transportation industry, is a correlation evident between the price of transportation and the weight of object being shipped? Okay, whether there is some kind of correlation we can find, whether there is an evident correlation between the price of transportation the transportation charge and the weight of the object being shipped. In retails, are sales related to population density, number of competitors, size of the store, amount of advertising, and other variables. So whether the amount of sales, okay, the quantity of sales is correlated to the population density, the number of competitors, the size of the store, these are several other variables. We need to check whether each individual variable is associated to our primary variable of concern, that is the sales. Okay. Between 2000, these are real-time data. You can check. I have taken some few examples. Between 2002 and 2005, there was a decrease in movie attendance. There were several reasons for this decline. One reason may be the increase in DVD sales. The percentage of US homes with DVD players and the movie attendance in billions in the United States for the year 2002 to 2005 are shown. Can we describe the relationship between these variables? Okay. This is the problem that we are going to solve using the current topic. Next comes a very fundamental understanding of data, that is the scatter plot. Okay. We have two variables. We are plotting one against the other. If we plot one on the x-axis, we plot another on the y-axis. Will come on x-axis whether we on which axis we plot the independent and the dependent variable. That kind of discussion will come later. But basic idea to see, initial data visualization gives you an idea. If x increases, then y also increases. If x decreases, then y also decreases. Then we say from the scatter plot some kind of positive correlation exists within the data. If one increases, the other also increases. It means that there is a positive correlation in the data. Okay. So there is also example of negative correlation. If one increases, the other decreases. And the scatter plot might also exhibit whether there is a no relationship in the data. You can't be definite when there is whether it is a positive or is a negative correlation. Okay. Final grade by the number of hours spent on studying is definite a positive correlation. Okay, now final grade in course in the y-axis, number of hours spent in studying in x-axis. Car's price depending on the age. When you are selling a second-hand, when you are selling a car that has already been used, you plot that price on the y-axis, corresponding ages of the car on the x-axis. It's a negative correlation. As age keeps on increasing, the price will go on decreasing. Pulse rate versus the weight. The data shows that you can't claim some kind of positive or negative correlation. One axis of the weights, unit is pounds, and the pulse rate, beats per minute. There is no relationship. Okay. Then comes a very important concept between the variance and the covariance. Okay, we define something called the correlation of data. Then comes the concept of covariance and the variance. These are all fundamental terms and formulations that you will be needing in your data analytics with time. Okay. Do two variables change together? Okay. This is the question we are going to address. Variance gives information on variability of a single variable. Okay. You take the difference with respect to the means and square them and take the average of all the data points. For a number of data points, you calculate the mean point. Then you take the difference of each data point from the mean point, you square them, and then you take the average of the number of data points. Covariance gives information to which two variables may vary. It gives us an idea of how two variables vary together. Variance gives an idea of how a single variable varies. But in covariance, you get an idea of two different variables varying at the same point of time. So it is given by, for each of the point xi, yi, you take a difference of xi from their mean, xi minus x bar, multiplied by yi minus y bar, that is the distance of the point y from yi. You multiply them for each of the point and then you take an average of that. That is the formal definition of covariance. Pearson's correlation coefficient. Okay, Pearson standardized the correlation value between x and y. It is given by correlation coefficient between two variables x and y is given by covariance of xy by variance of by standard deviation of x into standard deviation of y. Standard deviation is nothing but the square root of variance. Okay, standard deviation is given by the square root of variance. So standard deviation of x equal to under square root of variance of x. Standard deviation of y equal to under square root of variance of y. So Rxy, Pearson's correlation coefficient, is given by covariance of xy by Sx, that is standard deviation of x into standard deviation of y. So correlation tells you if there is an association between x and y, but it does not allow to predict one variable from the other. That is very important concept. Okay, correlation gives you an idea of the relationship or whether there is a positive, negative increment or decrement within the data, but it does not allow to predict one variable from the other. To do this, we need regression. Okay, that is where regression is required. Regression is a technique that fits a straight line as possible between coordinates of two variables plotted on two-dimensional graph to summarize the relationship. So if we have plotted the points, the data points on the two major axes x and y, if we are considering that the data points are two-dimensional for the initial understanding, if we have plotted the data points on the x and the y axis, that is the xy plane, regression tries to fit a straight line from these points that can explain the relationship or that can summarize the relationship. Okay. Now comes regression. We have the dependent variable y, that is on the y-axis, and we plot the independent variable on the x-axis. Okay. So we are having two variables, the dependent and the independent variable. We'll discuss in details about it. The regression relationship can be linear, can be non-linear. We'll discuss. A dependent variable in a regression problem is also called a response variable that measures the outcome of a study, called the outcome variable. So we have the response variable and the outcome variable. And the independent variable is termed as the explanatory variable, or the explanatory variable explain changes in the response variable. So the independent variable is also termed as the explanatory variable, and the dependent variable is termed as the response variable. You, in many applications, you won't be finding the names of independent and dependent variable. The dependent variable will be named as response variable. The independent variable will be named as explanatory variable. Okay. So let us see one example. There is a relationship between annual sales of aerosol spray cans and the quantity of fluorocarbons released in the atmosphere each year. If we want to study the relationship, the number of aero cans sold each year would be independent variable, and the number and the quantity of fluorescent released annually would be the dependent variable. Okay. So annual sales of aerosol spray cans. Okay. This is annual sales. We want to find a relation between annual sales and the quantity of fluorocarbon released. The number of aero cans sold each year is our independent variable, but the quantity of fluorocarbon released annually would be our dependent variable. Economists might base their prediction on the annual gross domestic product (GDP) on the final consumption spending with the economy. The final consumption spending is the independent variable, and the GDP will be the dependent variable. Okay. Sociologists may be interested in finding relationship between education and income or number of children in a family. Education versus income. Education will be the independent variable. I may categorize the education as level 1, level 2, level 3 or any levels. And independent variable will be the income. We want to find family income and the number of children in the family, a relationship between those. Family income will be the independent variable and dependent variable will be the number of children. Millions of boats are registered in the United States. As is the case with automobile, there is an active used boat market. Many of the boat purchased requires bank financing, and as a result, it is important for financial institution to be capable of accurately estimating the price of the boats. So people require loans for boat purchasing, and the banks or the financial institution requires to take an estimation of the price of the boat. One variable that affects the price is the number of hours the engine has been run. Okay? Because one important variable will be the number of hours the engine has been run. That will determine the affect the price. To determine the effect of the hours on the price, a finance analyst records the price in terms of $1,000 of a sample of 24-foot sea ray cruisers and the number of hours they had run. Okay, so this definition, this defining the problem of regression with the important variable is the challenge. First you frame the problem, then you try to associate the variable. Which are the important variables that will determine your dependent variable? So you need to select the significant independent variables. We have techniques, we will learn techniques that will determine the significant variables. Okay, because there can be a number of variables in the data. Suppose the collection of data has been done by a person who is not very much acquainted with the field. So he has collected a large number of data with large number of columns. That means a lot of variables in it. You need to check out which are the real significant variables that truly affects your price. Okay, or your dependent variables in this case. Okay. One important, I have left out few observation, few other examples. Okay, we can take one or two more if we have time today. Please note one important thing, that the terms dependent and independent does not necessarily imply a causal relationship between two variables. Regression is not designed to capture causality. Okay, it does not imply a cause-effect relationship or a causal relationship between two variables. Don't confuse regression that if X and Y have a relationship, it means that it has a causal relationship. It's not like that. We might be able to predict the sales of diamond earrings from the sales of new Cadillacs, but we could not say that one is caused by the other. Instead, we realize that the sale level of both Cadillacs and diamond earrings are caused by another factor, such as the level of okay. Next comes regression is used for generating new hypotheses and for validating a hypothesis. Okay, just give me a 1 minute break. Hello. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, regression is used for generating new hypotheses and for validating a hypothesis. Okay. Let's see what can be the interesting hypothesis. Vegetarians miss fewer flights. Okay. Black cars have more chance of involving in accident than white cars in moonlight. Women use camera phone more than the men. Left-handed men are more money. Smokers are better salesperson. Those who whistle at workplace are more efficient. Okay. Okay, these are few interesting hypotheses that I found. People are working in data science. They have taken up this data from the market and they are working on it. So regression will verify whether there is a true relationship between the variables we have defined. Okay. Now we have defined regression as we will try to fit a line. Okay, as we try to fit a line between the data points in the two axes. The green points shown in this particular curve, okay, it is two-dimensional plane, are my true value. Okay. Now, with these points as the historical data we mentioned, these are points already given to you. That if x is this much, y will be this much. If x is 5, y will be 7. If x is 1, y will be -2. You have a set of data already with you. Now with some technique, I have drawn a red line. The regression technique has helped me to draw a red line. Okay. But we see that the points on the line, that the black points are different. The predicted points are the black points on the line. The black points are different from the green, original green points. So that means for the same value of x, the true value is something, the predicted value is something. Okay. So for a particular x, the true value is something, the predicted value is something. Okay. The fundamental problem of regression is to reduce the error. I have noted the error as epsilon. See the line between the green point and the black point. I have noted it as the epsilon. Our target is to find a line that reduces the error epsilon for each and every point. For each and every point, the error will be reduced. A system that reduces the error of this fitting line, that will be treated as the best regression system. Okay. So, as mentioned in this slide, this will be the line that minimizes the distance between the data and the fitted line. This error, this difference between the fitted line, point on the fitted line, and the original or the actual point is called the residual error. Okay. If we take a difference of the point between the fitted line and the actual point, we will get something called the residual error. And the equation of the fitting line is given by y hat equals ax plus c, x plus b. A is the slope of the regression line and b is the intercept of the regression line. Okay. To find the best line, we must reduce the sum of square error of the residual. Okay. That was we defined. We need to reduce the residual, or we need to minimize the sum of square of residual. That is, if y hat equal to x plus b, where a and b are the slope, then my residual error is y minus y hat, and sum of the squares of residual is summation over y minus y hat whole square. Okay. Let me see. Whether people are having any question or not. Professor Kaushik, are we having any question from the students?
In the Q&A section till now, nothing have received. So I think you can carry on later on. Maybe you can find out some questions.
Okay. So is my slide visible?
Yes, yes, yes.
I am on the least square regression, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we must try to find.
But it is not full screen actually.
Okay. Is it full screen now? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So for the fitted line y hat equal to x plus b, we need to find values of a and b that minimizes summation y minus y hat square. That means we need to find the value of the slope at the intercept that defines a line, that defines the inclination line, that minimizes the square of some error. That is, the residual error should be minimized. Okay. First, we try to find the value of B that gives the minimum sum of errors. Because see, with different value of B, for this, we can have several intercepts. There can be positive intercept, there can be negative intercept, the line may pass through the origin. Okay. Then we try to find the value of A that gives the minimum sum of squares. Trying out different values of A is equivalent to changing the slope of the line while keeping B constant. Okay. If the slope of the line is changed, trying out different values of A means the slope of the line will be continuously changed while keeping the value of the intercept or the B constant. Okay. So basically we are trying to find out for which A and which B, for which slope, what angle of inclination and what intercept the sum of squares will be minimized. Yeah, Swastik Bharat has a question that the scatter plot we find in the classification learner interface is an example of correlation or regression. The scatter plot we see in classification, maybe in MATLAB, in Python, gives you, the scatter plot gives you, it's the initial data visualization concept. It gives you a broad idea whether it is positively or negatively correlated or it's not correlated. Okay, it doesn't give whether it's a regression or a correlation. It's nothing related to a regression or correlation. It gives you a broad idea whether the two variables are positively correlated or negatively correlated. Okay. Swastik, am I clear? Thank you. Yeah. Is the framework of SLR model development visible to all? Professor Kaushik, is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr.
So for the SLR development model, yeah, Swastika asked another question. Should our aim always be to reduce the residual? Yes, because you want to have a better prediction. If the error is more, the prediction error will be more. So you want to reduce the prediction error. Okay. So the first step, we have this slide in the first day. I explained this slide shortly. Today I'm going to a bit deep into it. Okay, we collect or the extract data in step 1. Step 2, we have some pre-processing. Step 3, we divide the data into training and testing set and so on. I will explain one by one what are the steps. The first step in a regression model is to collect or extract data from different sources for the identified problem. Data collection, however, can be time consuming and expensive. Data collection is a very fundamental to the regression problem because the data is our prime concern. It is called the oil of today's industry, data. The data collection, the problem identification, based on the problem identification, you will define the variables, the important variables, and based on that, the data should be collected. If the data is good, there are less number of missing values in the data, missing information in the data, your model will obviously be strong. But it is time consuming and expensive. So you have to make an optimization between this time consumption and the expensive manner of data collection. Some kind of optimization you have to make. How much time you should spend on the problem and how much money the industry should donate for it. Since ERP systems that are used for collecting and storing the data are not designed for analytics application, data extraction from the ERP system becomes a time-consuming process. Another issue is the data collection is the expense. Let us assume that a modeler believes that the amount spent by a customer in a retail store should be dependent on the customer's income. Okay, so suppose there is a hypothesis that the amount spent in a store, in a retail store, depends on the customer income. But see, it's a very challenging hypothesis because most of the customers who are visiting your retail shop may not reveal their income. Okay, and it will be very difficult, okay, to collect this data. In case we try to avoid variables that are too personal, which people may not, people are not ready to make it public. Okay, to pre-process the data. Pre-processing is an important stage in the second step. Okay, the modeler has to define how he should use the data in the model. Okay, there are many variables. Okay, he might not take two variables uniquely. He might take a product of the two variables to see the interaction. Okay, he has two variables which are closely associated. He may not take one. He may not take two at a single time. He may take one. Okay, so this selection of variables we are doing last time in the last class with Python. The selection of variables, merging columns, multiplying two columns, making interaction variables. These things are done in the pre-processing of the data. And this pre-processing, I can tell you, when you join at the very initial stage, the main amount of time in industry goes on pre-processing. Okay, you will have a lot of missing values in the data. Many information are not there. You need to interpolate the data. Okay, the interpolation is also done in the pre-processing stage. Categorical variables may not be used in the model. You need to change the categorical variables into dummy variable. Okay, male or a female, give a 0 and a 1, use a number, you generate a dummy variable. Okay, these are part of the pre-processing unit. Dividing the data into training and testing set, we discussed that 70 to 80% of the data will be using for training and rest 20 to 30% will be using for testing. Okay. In few of the cases, machine learning algorithms, we use training, validation, and test data. We'll explain in details. Performing the descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics will help us to understand the variability in the model and visualization of the data. Like a scatter plot. The scatter plot initially gives an idea of the various variables that are present and how they vary with each other. Okay. Define the functional form of regression. I will come what is meant by the functional form. Okay. Yeah, Jhumpa, you can ask the question. Can Jhumpa be allowed to talk?
Yeah, Dr. Rohan, only you can allow because you are the host now. So from the attendee list, you can allow to talk.
Yeah, Jhumpa, tell me, what is your question? Hello. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, sir. I don't have any question. By mistake, it happened.
Okay. Gaurav, do you have any question? Gaurav raised his hand. Gaurav, do you have any question?
No, he doesn't have any question. I think you continue. Questions can come later on. That will be
Yeah, Gaurav has been allowed to talk because he raised his hand.
Yeah,
So
just a little bit information to all the attendees. Like, if you have any question, you please write it down on the Q&A section. Like after the end of Professor Rohan's lecture, then he will just answer one by one. Okay, there will be no conflicting in that case. So please write down your questions or any kind of queries in the Q&A section of your that is the tab options that will be getting on your mobile or laptop bottom screen. Thank you.
see the functional form of regression. Okay, the scatter plot between x1 and y1 tells that there is a linear relationship between x and y. But the second plot tells us there is a log linear relationship between, I will explain what is log linear, there is a log linear relationship between x and y. So what kind of regression model we will select? That is the question. There you have to take which functional form you will take for this regression. Okay? So here lies the importance of defining the functional form of regression. Estimate the regression parameter. Once the functional form is specified, the next step is to estimate. One of the popular techniques we will learn in our theory and also in our coding we will use for regression is the ordinary least square techniques to estimate the regression parameter. Ordinary least square techniques where we try to reduce down the residual errors. Okay, square of residual errors will be reducing down in the ordinary least square technique. 7 comes the performing the regression model diagnosis. Okay, before using the model in real-time scenario or in an application, we need to have an idea whether it is performing with our expected outcome, right? We want a 90% accuracy in classification, or we want a 80% accuracy in prediction. Is the model working according to that, or we need to tune it further? Okay. Before it can be applied, it is necessary that the model creator is validated for all the model assumptions, including the functional form. Okay. This is very important that before we apply the model, we need to check whether the model creator is validated for all the model assumptions. Regression problem, before going into the linear regression problem, we define some fundamental, we take some fundamental assumptions. Okay, I will tell the assumptions today only. What are the assumptions of regression model? Okay, we check with certain kinds of plot, the normality plot, the PP plot, okay, whether the error is following a normal distribution, okay, several kinds of assumptions we take. And we check these assumptions are true or not after the building and diagnosis part. If the model assumptions are violated, then the modeler has to do some kind of remedial measures. We also take some remedial measures like the transformation and other remedial measures to clarify these assumptions. One of the major problem is overfitting in regression. Okay, the line is best fitted for the given data, but it's very difficult. Okay, the data set is such that the line fits for the given, it's very specific and fits for the given data. But for other data, you can't generalize it. Okay, in that case, it's a problem. it is important to ensure that the model performance is consistent. Okay, if the difference in the regression coefficient in the R-square value in the testing part and the training part is quite large, we say that there may be some kind of overfitting problem, and ultimately we decide on the model deployment. Okay. I will come to a new slide. Yeah. We will talk something on the types of regression. Okay, if you have problem on the model of regression, we define the 9 steps. Please write in the question and answer in the chat box. Okay, Q&A. Please write in the Q&A. I will answer one by one all the questions. Types of regression. First is called the simple linear regression between two variables. Y0 equal to beta naught plus beta 1 x1 plus I epsilon. When we write the regression model, we always mention the residual error. Multiple linear regression, there is more than one independent variable. Okay, y equals to beta naught plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 up to beta k xk plus epsilon. There is again the residual error in multiple linear regression. In multiple linear regression, the fundamental is that there is more than one independent variable. Non-linear regression, y0 equal to 1 by 1 plus beta 1 plus beta 2 x1 plus x2 to the power beta 3. What is the difference between linear and non-linear regression? Linear regression stands for a function that is linear in regression coefficient. Remember, the relationship if the relationship between the regression coefficient beta 1, beta 2, beta 3 are linear, then it's a linear regression. It does not depend whether it's non-linear in terms of the independent variables. This is a fine example where the regression coefficients are linear, but the independent variables are non-linear. So whether a model will be a linear regression model or a non-linear regression model, it will be determined by the relationship of the regression coefficient. Never confuse that we check the relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. It's not that. Okay. We have already discussed this. The fundamental of ordinary least square, estimation of parameters for ordinary least square, given a set of dependent variables yi and the corresponding independent variable xi is subject to a random error epsilon. One has to find the best equation to represent the relationship between the dependent and the independent variable. This is the fundamental of the ordinary least square. The regression model we discussed today is nothing but an ordinary least square model. What are the assumptions? Okay, I told in the regression while discussing our steps for regression model that after forming the model, you have to check whether the model obeys the fundamental assumption. What are the assumptions of the regression model? Okay, the regression model is linear in terms of regression parameter. This is the fundamental assumption of simple linear regression or the OLS. The exploratory variable x is assumed to be non-stochastic. X is deterministic. The conditional expected value of the residual is 0. The expected value of residuals epsilon I is 0. Remember, x and y are random variables, so we are taking the expectation value. In case of time series data, residuals are uncorrelated. The covariance between two residuals will be 0 in case of time series data. The residual epsilon follows a normal distribution. It's very important. The residual follows a normal distribution. The variance of the residual is constant. Okay. When the variance of the residual is constant for different value of xi, it is called homoscedasticity. If the variance of the residuals is not constant, it is called heteroscedasticity. We have to address that. We have techniques for addressing heteroscedasticity in a data. We will do in this course, we will take up the IPL data set, we will implement multiple regression analysis on it, and we will check all the given assumptions on that particular data set. We have been dealing with that data set for the last 2 classes. Today I am discussing this fundamental of regression because we will take up the regression in Python in coming class, coming one or first, next or the next class. A non-constant variation of residuals is called a heteroscedasticity. Okay. So OLS, the sum of errors. See, yi is the actual point minus predicted point is y hat. Y hat is given by beta naught plus beta 1x. So error becomes yi minus beta naught xi whole square. This beta naught plus beta 1 xi is nothing by my y hat. In the previous slide, I have written it as ax plus b. Here it is written as beta naught plus beta 1 xi. So in ordinary least square, the objective is to find the optimal value of beta naught and beta 1. That's minimize the sum of square errors. So what we do to find the sum of square errors? To find the optimized value of beta naught and beta 1, we differentiate the sum of square errors with respect to beta naught and equate it to 0. We differentiate the sum of square errors with respect to beta 1 and equate it to 0 to find the value that minimizes the function. Sum of square errors. Sum of square errors we have written in terms of beta naught and beta 1. We differentiate with respect to beta naught and equate it to 0. We differentiate with respect to beta 1 and equate it to 0 to find the optimized value of beta naught and beta 1. This is the fundamental of ordinary least square estimation. Solving beta naught hat and beta 1 hat comes out something like this. Okay, you don't have to worry on this kind of function because your tasks in nowadays will be done by Python. Okay, this is just the fundamental strategy what we use, but most of the things will be done in Python. But you should know what we are doing in Python. That is the very urgent requirement of time. Sometimes, because if you have a problem in the code, if you have a problem in your variables, you can't solve the problem unless you know what you are writing in Python. Okay. Now comes the interpretation of simple linear regression coefficient. What does the coefficient means? Beta naught and beta 1. What does it mean? Okay. The interpretation will depend on the functional form. Suppose y equals to beta naught plus beta 1x. Okay. The value of beta naught equal to expectation of y given x equals to 0. Okay. The value of beta naught equal to expectation of y given that x equals to 0. What will be the expectation of y? Beta naught shows you that. When x equal to 0, what is the corresponding value of y? That is the y-intercept. When we write y equal to ax plus b, okay, what is my b? B is my y-intercept. So when we write y equal to beta naught plus beta 1x, beta naught is nothing but the expected value of y given that x equal to 0. Why we are taking the expected value? Because x and y are random variables. And what is my beta 1? Beta 1 is my del y del x. That is, beta 1 is the change in the value of y for unit change in the value of x. What is my slope? Del y del x. So beta 1 is my change in the value of y per unit change in the value of x. Okay. How we validate the simple linear regression model? First, we validate through the coefficient of determination R square. Then we do some kind of hypothesis testing on the regression coefficient. And for the overall model validity, we use analysis of variance. These three techniques we'll be using to validate the simple linear regression model. And finally, we do the residual analysis to validate the regression model assumptions. The assumptions we have made on the error, we made two fundamental assumptions of the error. That error follows a normal distribution, the mean of the error is 0, the variance of the error is constant throughout the process. If the variance is not constant, we call it heteroscedastic. Variance is constant, we call it homoscedastic. And ultimately, we do an outlier analysis. Okay. What does the coefficient of determination or R square measures? It measures the percentage of variation in y explained by the model beta naught plus beta 1 x1. It's very important. What does R square means? It means the percentage of variation of y explained by the model beta naught plus beta 1 xi. So if we have a model yi equal to beta naught plus beta 1 xi plus epsilon I, variation in y is given by yi. Beta naught plus beta 1 xi gives the variation in y that is explained by the model. And epsilon I gives I the variation in y that cannot be explained by the model. So we have both kinds of variation. One variation can be explained by the model. Another variation cannot be explained by the model. One variation of y, if R square is 80%, that is 80% of the variation. If R square is 80%, then 80% of the variation of y can be explained by the model. But 20% of the variation cannot be explained by the given model. So that it is included in the epsilon term. Okay. These are the total variation, explained variation, and unexplained variation. Total variation is given by y minus y hat, y bar. Variation explained by the model is given by y hat minus y bar, and variation not explained by the model is given by y minus y hat. These are the three variations. Okay. One we call the SST, one we call the SSR, another is called the SSE. SST stands for sum of squares of regression, sum of square of error. Okay, the first term is called the SST, the second term is called the SSR. We have to take a square. Obviously, for each of the term, we have to take a square. Y minus y bar square, y hat minus y hat square, yi minus y bar square. The first term is SST, the second term is SSR, and the third term is SSE. It can be proved mathematically that the sum of squares of total variation is equal to the sum of square of explained variation plus sum of square of unexplained variation. It can be proved that SST equals to SSR plus SSE. Total sum of squares equal to sum of squares of regression plus sum of square of error. Y minus y bar whole square equals to y hat minus y bar whole square plus y hat minus y minus y hat whole square. SST is the sum of total variation, SSR is the sum of squares of variation explained by the regression model, SSE is the sum of squares of error or unexplained variation. The coefficient of determination is nothing but the ratio of SSR by SST, or R square can be written as 1 minus SSE by SST. These are two forms. Coefficient of determination, explained variation by total variation. Okay, just remember, coefficient of determination is nothing but the ratio of the explained variation by the total variation. So R square is the proportion of variation in response variable Y explained by the regression model. The value of R square lies between 0 and 1. Okay, R square is the proportion of variation in response variable explained by the regression model. The value of R square lies between 0 and 1. Okay, it will always lie between 0 and 1. Higher values of regression implies better fit, but yeah, it will be discrete line or parabola or hyperbola. It depends on what, whether it is a linear or a non-linear regression. Higher value of regression implies better fit. One should be aware of spurious regression. I will explain what is spurious regression. Okay. Mathematically, the square of correlation coefficient is equal to the coefficient of determination. So today we have defined the correlation coefficient small r square, that is covariance of xy by standard deviation of x into standard deviation y. Mathematically, square of small r square equal to capital R square. Okay. Now we'll end up today with something called a spurious regression. See, number of Facebook users and the number of people who are affected of helium poisoning in UK. Okay, this is the following years. Here we have the number of Facebook users in millions. We have number of people who are affected by poisoning. The R square value for the regression model between the number of affected due to helium poisoning and the number of Facebook is 99%. Okay, and the model seems something like this. But is it true that 99.28 variation in the number of affected due to helium poisoning is explained by the number of Facebook users? It is not. So before you take regression of two variables, you need to have an understanding whether the variation of one variable can be explained by the other. Otherwise, there will be spurious regression. See, if you work blindly on data, if you work blindly on data, you won't be able to identify spurious regression. I have given you two data x and y. If you blindly do regression, you will get an equation and you will also get R square value. And the R square value is high as 99. But can the variation of one be explained by the other in this case? The answer is no. Okay, this is the example of a spurious regression. So with this, we will end up today's class. If I have question, I will answer that. Otherwise, Professor Rai can speak a bit on this. If we have Professor Rai within us. I think Professor Rai is within us.
So is there any question? Participants. So this
said they are not allowed to speak. All are muted. So they can write the question. They can write the question in the Q&A box.
What it will be for discrete line or parabola or hyperbola? So this is the question.
Yeah, sir, you can answer. I have already told her once, but I think Professor Rai can talk on regression because he has been working on this for last 40 years.
I mean, my dear students, one of the things is this regression, and then Dr. Mukherjee will talk on the diverse classification algorithms also. I do not know whether Professor Bosak also will talk about that. So these are very, very fundamental, areas in machine intelligence, in pattern classification, and they are being used in a large number of problems. So Professor Mukhopadhyay has already, he has started with the basic regression analysis, linear regression, nonlinear regression, and he has also talked about, before going into regression, very rightly, he started with correlation, because this is very important. And he has started with the basic observation that this correlation is not the same as regression. Now in the regression analysis, for example, you have got somebody has talked about nonlinear regression. Now nonlinear regression means, again, it can have nonlinearity of different orders. The second order, third order, and there can be various different types of regressions. Sometimes what can happen is the data can be, not very precise data. One of the things all the time Professor Mukhopadhyay has talked about, that is taking, you have to minimize the LMS error. Now can you think about, for example, taking the data which is not very precise. So if the data is very imprecise, those of you who are slightly mathematically oriented, you should know that for imprecise data set also, there are some kind of imprecise regression techniques. They are known as, fuzzy regression techniques. And very interesting kind of techniques, which maybe that not in this forum, but later on sometimes we can discuss about them. And then you can see that to identify those kind of, for nonlinear and at the same time, imprecise data. So that will give you another kind of flavor. Little bit of more involved mathematics will be there. So it was a wonderful lecture which has been delivered by Dr. Rohan Mukherjee. And like Kaushik, Rohan, they are all my students at IIT Kharagpur. And they have been doing excellent. And Rohan is now with Goa Institute of Management, but in fact, we are trying to get him here in our institute, because I said that Goa is far away. So anyway, hopefully he will join us, as Professor Bosak also mentioned, so that, we can, and then important thing that he has been mentioning is taking the real, and taking the real case data, and then how do you, how do you write the Python codes? Today I told him to talk about regression because of the fact that yesterday maybe that some of the participants who were not there yesterday, today they have joined. So I told him that, okay, can you, and in the meantime, those will be coming tomorrow. If you can see the last 2 days lectures that they have given, so that will be very interesting. Similarly, Professor Kaushik Bosak, he will be talking tomorrow on slightly in more detail about the some of the modalities of image, medical image, and then how to do the segmentation or processing. So just have a look at what has been done. I think this will be available in our Facebook. Kaushik? Hello?
Yes, sir. So it is available on our Facebook as well as will be shared on our YouTube channel as well.
Okay, in our YouTube. So all the lectures will be available
Yes,
there.
sir. Yeah. So we need some time to do some short editings. After that, we will upload
Okay.
it on the YouTube as well.
Okay. But then on Python, tomorrow you can come a little bit prepared on, a simple, say, relational database, the row and column manipulation. How do you do with, or how do you tackle those databases? There's some simple databases, just the different type of, instructions which will do that. What is required is you please go through them. That is very important before joining tomorrow, and I'm sure that you will learn, because we have to, problem is that in a very short time, a lot of things will have to be covered. So everybody is trying to make it clear as far as practicable, but if more time would have been, because in this short period, 42 webinars, it's not a small thing. And in 1 hour's time, a lot of things are being given. So in the regular class, maybe the same thing the teacher will go slightly slower, and then he will discuss more in detail. So maybe that we will, if the participants, if they so desire, then we can have in each of these areas, there can be a full, maybe that 20, 40 hours of regular, webinars or classes or whatever you can call it, tutorials, because solving the problems. So then the teachers can go slightly, and not so fast, but then slightly slow, in slower mode, so that everybody can understand what's being done. And my next request is, please write the questions. Whatever questions come to your mind, for example, you are not understanding any of the issues, then you should write those questions to the speaker, or maybe because everybody's email address, so Kaushik and Rohan, you have given your email addresses?
Yeah. We have a question from Paromita. Paromita, just write a message whether your question is clear, whether we can have a hyperbolic or a parabolic function in regression. That was the question from Paromita. Paromita, is your answer solved? Because we discussed nonlinear regression. That is when there is nonlinearity between the regression coefficients, it will not follow a simple linear regression.
So one suggestion, Rohan, you should briefly cover logistic regression.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. After multiple linear regression, I will cover logistic regression.
Yeah, that is very much used. And
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Obviously, I will take care of that.
Okay, thank you.
An important point all of you has to note is that the equation may be nonlinear, but then the coefficients, they may be having that linearity. So that is, I'm sure that the interesting and important points, whether you have got it or not. And actually, Rohan, next time you, as Professor Mujumdar said, that you have to go for nonlinear regression, because you will be getting.
Yes. I will discuss logistic regression, obviously.
And
logistic regression, I have plans to discuss in this course, Professor Rai and Professor Mujumdar. I have plans to discuss logistic regression, Lazo regression, and ridge regression. So Lazo regression takes care of the L1 normalization, and ridge regression works with L2 normalization. So they take care of the overfitting problem. So I will discuss both Lazo ridge and logistic regression.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was very good presentation by Dr. Mukherjee and also by Dr. Boshak.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we have already come to the end of today's session. I'd like to thank Professor Ekere, Professor A.K. Mujumdar, and definitely Professor Rohan Mukherjee for providing us your time, and specifically Professor Mukherjee to provide so insightful talk on this regression analysis. And I believe our attendees also enjoyed this session. And to everyone, thank you for your attention and hope you have enjoyed the session. So with this, I just want to conclude for today. Tomorrow again at 3 o'clock, we will start with medical imaging as well as artificial intelligence on 4 o'clock. So for today, good night, have a good day, stay safe and stay at home.